Oh my gosh. Tapooth. You can't do tapooth wrong. The things that happen whenever you get a misspell in your tattoo.
Good morning. It's morning for me, whatever time it is that you are coming to this video. Hello, welcome. My name is Britt. If this is your very first time here, this is Zorro. Say hello, Zorro. He's my 12-year-old Silky Terrier. I got him when he was 4 months old, and he is a grandpa now. If this is your very first time here, my name is Britt, and what this channel has been about in the past is sharing stories of synchronicity, basically sharing a lot of my own spiritual experiences, personal development, and self-growth. And today is no different. I wanted to get on, I've been getting this influx of what are your tattoos about? What do your tattoos symbolize? Questions recently. So I was like, okay, I've gotten 2 in the last year, and I have mentioned briefly about them in my Instagram stories. Seeing as more people are asking me about them right now, I just thought that I would get on and share some of my little stories around the super meaningful tattoos. I think tattoos are a really fun topic to talk about because everybody has different reasons for getting their tattoos. Some people imbibe their tattoos with a ton of meaning, and then other people see their bodies as these artful canvases. It's like a beautifying piece. That's why I think it's really fun to open up on topics like this that a lot of people have different experiences with. And another really big piece of my channel is sharing my own experiences in hopes to expand other people's perspective, to just really relay my own true experiences so that hopefully some of the viewers can see that each and every one of us has our own unique perspective in this life, and hopefully being able to find peace with coming to love and honor and respect one another's perspective, even though it's really different maybe from ours. I'm going to talk to you about the aging process, the tattoos that I've gotten, what they mean in my life, how I take care of them, whether I have plans to get more, and the places that I got my tattoos. So if that sounds interesting to you, then I invite you to stay tuned. If you haven't already, I invite you to click the subscribe button and the little notification bell so that you can be updated whenever I do upload new stuff. Let's hop right into the video. Especially for my own story with tattoos, I feel like you can get a really good sense of like a big piece of who I am just from my stories about my tattoos. So this is the first tattoo that I got. It is the Deathly Hallows symbol from Harry Potter. All of my Harry Potter fans out there are gonna know what this symbol means. A lot of people who have come up to me think that it might be some dark witchcraft sign, and I just want to relay for everyone out there who hasn't read the infamous Harry Potter book series or seen the movies that the triangle is the invisibility cloak, the circle is the sorcerer's stone, and the line through it is the magician's wand, the elder wand. So for me, this symbol wrapped up my entire I feel like it wraps up the entire book series. And for those of you who think that it's solely about Harry Potter's adventures and don't maybe know about the really deep symbolism in this book series, basically what this represents is, oh gosh, it like ties the entire series together, because this is, especially in the 7th book, especially 5, 6, and 7, when Harry was really starting to discover who his parents were and that he wasn't alone in the world and that maybe he had a deeper purpose. This was like a challenge for him to really come to understand, like, do I go for these things that are supposed to make someone absolutely invincible, and having this inner struggle, like, is it going to make me, is it going to be a selfish, am I going to be bad if I get all of these things? Am I going to turn into a bad person? Is it a selfish thing for me to want to get those? Or am I able to do a lot of good with these things that a lot of other witches and wizards chase in order to have power, have control, and do bad things. And this is a lot of what that struggle looked like encapsulated into a tiny symbol. And I actually wanted this tattoo for, I think, like 4 years actively before I actually got it. When did the 7th book come out? I want to say I was still in high school, and I graduated in 2007, and I traveled a lot in my 20s as an international model, and I actually got this tattoo in Shanghai in China. I went to China the first time on a model contract, then I went to Thailand on a contract, and then I went back to China on a contract, as an independent contractor, which means I would go to castings and I would go to jobs as an independent person, not tied to an agency, not having a mother agency. And I was just kind of like doing my own thing. I was making my own schedule. I was living with a girlfriend out there who had been modeling in China for years. And I was alone. I was alone on my 22nd birthday, and the whole thing about me waiting 4 years is that I was like, I take things so seriously sometimes, and I just really wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to regret this decision, because I had a lot of people in my life that were telling me I was going to regret my decision to get a tattoo, and I wanted to really make sure that I wanted it. And then on my 22nd birthday, May 21st, what would that be? I don't know. It's 8 years ago, so 2011. May 21st, 2011, I went to a tattoo shop and got this. I went with my girlfriend Fabiola, who I was living with in China. She got her Chinese name, Xiao Feifei, I want to say. Oh, that just came to me. And she actually got her father's ashes. Her father had just passed away, and she got her father's ashes in her Chinese name as well. It was a really beautiful little moment for her and I to go and get this tattoo together. However, here is the thing that happened with this first tattoo. A few days after I got it, I noticed that the pigmentation on the right line was starting to. So this is something that a lot of people who go to get tattoos will maybe have happen to them. Sometimes the pigmentation doesn't take to your skin and it will start to fade away. I noticed that that was happening, so I called the tattoo shop. I asked them to go over the entire thing a second time, and he made it super crisp. That's why it's a little bit thicker, but I actually don't mind that it's thicker. So the pigmentation stayed, and I've had this for 8 years, and it looks amazing, and I love it. So that's my first one. And then last year in May, on May 6th, it was an 11 day, that's how I remember. And last year was collectively, numerology-wise, it was an 11 year in collective consciousness. So it was on an 11/11 day, a gateway to the portal. And it says, you can't do truth wrong.
It actually says Taputh, but more on that later. I bet none of you even knew that it was like misspelled.
So this has become a really big deal in my life. As you can see, there's this little scar underneath from like here to here, and that scar I got when I was 6 months old. My sister dragged a boot buckle across my arm, and it just never really healed well. But I wanted this line to go on top of that so that it was almost like underlined. And this tattoo has unfolded itself in a ton of ways since I got it. A lot of you know that I'm really into astrology, and I love this self-knowledge system. I'm Sagittarius moon. Your moon sign, just like your sun sign, is where the sun is at the time of your birth. It also shows where the moon was at the exact time of your birth. And if the sun is how you display yourself outwardly, it's your persona, your personality, your spirit. The moon depicts all the things about you that other people can't see. So it's like your internal body, your emotions, the way that you make decisions. It's everything that's like on the inside. So I'm Sagittarius moon, And Sagittarius is the wanderer, the traveler, the philosopher, the one that loves to go to other lands to intake new information and bring it back to the people being myself. And, you know, we impact people every day with every single person that we come across in one way or another. Sagittarius keyword is truth. And I never knew that until after I got this tattoo. So ever since I was young, I always had an affinity for the truth. I didn't care how much I stuck out like a sore thumb. I was very weird and different in that way growing up, and I think it's a big reason why a lot of people bullied me when I was younger. Truth. I always wanted to just know the truth. And I challenged a lot of people even when I was a child, because I always just wanted them to see truth too. And it was strange when I was 7 and 9 years old and these things would be going on around me and I would say something that was really impactful and I would take a lot of people aback. And as I got older and had my own identity crisis, I've uploaded a video on here before about my identity crisis. I'll link it here. Basically, this saying came to me during the full solar eclipse in August of 2017. It was the Great American Eclipse. I was up in Oregon at the Oregon Eclipse Festival, and you know what's so funny too? I had a dream last night that I witnessed a full solar eclipse 3 times. That's just a side note. But if you haven't witnessed a full solar eclipse before, it is a thing of majesty. And actually, when I was getting this tattoo, right where this other tattoo is that I got, I had planned to get a big full solar eclipse piece and then the line under it. Now I'm so happy that I didn't get that. And it's another little piece of ding, 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 my intuition saying like, no, don't do that. Maybe now is not the time, even though I was taking a lot of time. It took me like an hour to decide. But I'm so grateful, because where a lot of people would be like,
oh no, I'm wasting time, I should probably just get it because this person is waiting on me and oh my gosh, I don't want to inconvenience them.
And then regretting it later. I'm home alone, so that noise was concerning. Anyways, this is where intuition comes in really handy, because I would rather take the time that I need to make the decision that's best for me than regretting a decision later, because this is going to be on my body forever. So I'm really grateful that I didn't wind up getting the eclipse. Over and over for the next 8 months, I was just thinking about that over and over and over. I would be placed in these circumstances where it's really uncomfortable to tell your truth a lot of times, but there is this piece of,
what happens if it's not received in the way that I want, or what happens if this friendship goes away because of the way that I'm feeling and I'm truthful about it right now.
There are a lot of pieces of this that keep us from being in touch with our own truth, because when you are aligned with your own truth and living life in a truthful place, the world will begin to shift. Things will start to happen. And since we stay away from discomfort a lot of times, we will abandon our truth and find ourselves living lives that do not feel aligned with us, that do not feel meaningful, purposeful, fulfilling. And I dedicated this piece of truth as a reminder to myself in those hard times, in those hard moments, to say, you can't do truth wrong. No matter what happens, so long as I'm living from a truthful place, no matter what happens in my life, it's gonna be okay. And I'm happy that I'm coming from a truthful place, because there can be no regrets if you're doing truth. And you can't do truth wrong. You can't do truth wrong. Whatever happens as a result of truth, speaking truth, learning truth, acting in truth, at least you still have your own integrity about the way that you're living your life. That's basically my walk away key moment here. It gave me a free pass to just be able to be truthful in my life.
Speaking of being truthful with myself, I need to be truthful with all of you with actually what happened with this tattoo. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I was totally gonna forget to tell this super important part of the story. So the last 2 tattoos that I got, the You Can't Do Truth Wrong and the spider, okay, fantastic piece of the story with us. So for the script, this is my handwriting, and I wrote it in my journal, and I pieced together all the handwriting together. And initially I wanted it really, really thin, and I just figured that since it was handwriting and it was script and it was cursive, it was going to be done with a single needle. But this is why you need to always ask questions of your tattoo artist. Always make sure, even if it seems like you're being like paranoid or anything, ask as many questions as you need to feel comfortable, and like you know exactly that they have in mind what you have in mind. Otherwise you might wind up with a misspell on your tattoo. So and she starts doing the tattoo on me, and then I notice and I look down as she's like halfway done with the tattoo, and I see that the R in truth looks like a P. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I tried not to pay too much mind to it because I was like, well, it's already done. And I remember looking in the video of when she was actually doing the stencil, and I looked at the R and it looked like a regular R. So here's the thing. Of course, I show my parents, hey, look at my new tattoo, and my mom looks at it and she goes, you can't do Tapooth wrong? And I was like, oh my God, that's every person's worst nightmare, that nobody can read what their tattoo says, or that there's a misspell on your tattoo. So I write my tattoo artist and I was like, hey, I feel like the R in the truth looks like a P. And I feel like that's not how my handwriting looked whenever you did it. And I'm so happy that I had a picture of the stencil, a picture of the handwriting that I sent her, and a picture of what it looks like now. And she immediately responded like super mean and like aggressively and saying, well, I feel like you just don't like your handwriting, and you know, I don't know what you want me to do. And I was like, sheesh, sorry about it, but it looks like a Tapooth on my arm. That's what my tattoo is, and that's not what it was supposed to be. So then she writes me back later that evening and she goes, I just want to let you know that I have felt like such crap all day, and I'm having a really hard time in my life right now, and I feel like I just am never good enough, and that is my truth right now. And I'm so sorry that you feel this way. And I read over that a few times and I was like, wow. Honestly, what she just told me right now is exactly the message that this saying is depicting right here. Like, you can't do truth wrong. Obviously, she messed up on my tattoo. Obviously, she kind of misspelled the most important word of my tattoo. She made it Tapooth. And how can I be angry with her when she's saying that she's going through this hard time right now, and now she knows that she misspelled something on someone's arm and it's there forever, and she feels like crap about it, and she's telling me that she feels like crap about it. And you know, she said that's my truth right now, and this says you can't do truth wrong. So even whenever you mess up, even whenever something goes awry, even when something goes unexpected, you know, the best thing that you can do is be honest about it, speak your truth, and move forward, and really express your apology if you are sorry. So I really just wanted to attach that little piece. So that's my truth piece. 1111 truth piece. So my most meaningful tattoo and my newest one yet, you can see that it wraps around right here, is this beautiful spider. And this one has a really cool, fun, and beautiful story. So my grandfather, I've spoken about him here on my channel before. My Grandpa Eddie, my mom's dad, is the first spirit guide that I came to know about. I
have received so many messages from him, and I know that my mom and him are together now in heaven. My mom passed away in January of this year, and my grandpa had a spider tattoo inside of his left forearm. And after my grandpa passed about 9 years ago, my mom and I always said that we were going to get this tattooed together. And she was on a lot of blood thinners, she was on a lot of medications, and she always felt like, oh, when I'm healthy, we're gonna be able to get it. She went into her cancer treatment, it overcame her, and she passed away in January. And as soon as she passed away, I knew that it was time to get it. The spider has represented a lot of different pieces for me in my life. I practice with the tarot a lot, and the Eight of Pentacles is depicted, this really beautiful spider, and basically what Eight of Pentacles represents is mastery. Mastery is the key word. And Pentacles depicts the earth realm. So with tarot, it's like swords, pentacles, cups, and wands. So each of them represent one of the 4 elements. And if you don't know about elements and you want to, I have a podcast called Sacred Sister Podcast, and we talk about the 5 elements, because then there's also ether. You can go and check it out. It's on Apple Podcasts and anywhere the podcast can be found. So the elements, the Eight of Pentacles is this card of mastery, and it is in the Smith Rider-Waite deck, it is depicting this guy that is making these pentacles with the star on them, and he has a bunch of them on the wall, and each one is a little bit different. So basically what it is that this card is depicting is this mastery. It's the honing of your craft. It's the working of your art. It is the tenuous patience practice of showing up to what it is that you're here to do and taking the time to really hone that skill. And for a long period of time, I was drawing in the Wild Unknown deck, the Eight of Pentacles, often. And this spider medicine started to really speak to me in a way that said, the spider has infinite wisdom. Think of Charlotte's Web. Think of any time that we see a spider depicted that's not like,
Oh my gosh, ew, it's a spider.
Spider wisdom is this master weaver, this master networker, spends their life building beautiful pieces of art that are so strong, they sustain themselves. They catch insects in a web that comes from their own body. They house themselves. They're self-sustaining, and I love that about them. They're very independent, they're very fierce, and they have a lot of wisdom inside of their art, real pieces of art. So the spider has always been this really, really beautiful helper. The way that I came to understand the way that this tattoo was gonna come is through my grandfather's piece, and the spider has been medicine for me the last few years, helping me hone my skills, hone my crafts, show up to my mastery practice. And the web that's coming out and around, since I was going to get this with my mama, I actually had some of her ashes put into this ink. So my mom is literally with me on this journey. Anybody that has lost a parent that they're incredibly close to understands the deep comfort that that can provide. And the way that I think about this is that my mama is always with me, helping me weave this web, helping me weave this life that I'm creating for myself. And she is step by step here with me in the process as I come into a place that's honing my craft and my skill and communicating it outward to others, because that's something that I feel that I'm here to do, is to communicate outward these spiritual experiences, these synchronicities, and these ways that we're able to really come into personal power in our own lives so that we can create a more meaningful and purposeful life that is filled with joy and love and peace and trial and challenge and setback, and still overcome it all and feel good in this life. Not all the time, but there's so much wisdom that we learn from the hard times that I welcome the hard times as well as the good. And I love sitting with myself and looking at the darkness inside of me and letting that inform the way that I live my life moving forward. So I had this is actually an illustration, the spider itself, the web I added on my own, and the way that the hands are coming forward to the web, I added on my own. But the spider that I found, it was just, I tried to find the artist that made the illustration, but I wasn't able to find it. With the illustration that I found, there was a little saying that the French have about spiders, and whether you see spiders in the morning or the evening.
Just translates to morning spider grief, evening spider hope.
So in the illustration, the body of the spider had these stars. It had this constellation, the star and the moon. And as a Cancer rising, I feel very deeply about things. The moon is my chart ruler, and I feel very connected with the moon. I have moon ceremonies with myself, and the moon is just an integral part of my whole spiritual practice. So I wanted to integrate the moon into my piece.
So I never really talked about what made me go to the studio that I got this last one at, and it has a little story to it too. And for those of you that have seen the staycation that I had with my mom in mid-November, keep in mind her treatment for cancer started at the end of November. So mid-November, I took her on a staycation and we went to the Michael Jackson show. I'll link it here if you haven't ever seen it, but it's really, really cute. And I took her to stay at the Delano Hotel. It's like a part of Mandalay Bay. And I was looking for different tattoo artists and tattoo studios to get it in New Mexico, and I just started putting it out there and saying, like, please, like, show me the artist that's meant to do this tattoo. Please show me where I'm supposed to get this done, because I really wanted it to be good. I wanted it to be a really good tattoo. So I just started putting it out there to have the tattoo artist in the studio it was going to be done in to be shown to me. And of course, little ways away from my parents' house was a tattoo studio in Albuquerque called All Is One Tattoos, and the artist there specialized in fine lines, and his name was Delano. So I took that as a little symbol that he was the one that was meant to deliver this piece of art to my skin, and I'm so happy that I did go with him. So there's that.
This is it. I try to use fragrance-free lotion as often as I can, and really just keeping my arm hydrated. Always, always, always putting sunscreen on whenever I'm out. Really, it's like the first year after you get a tattoo that you really need to take care of it. I do have some ideas for some future tattoos. They come and go all the time, and that's how I know that it's maybe not the time to get that tattoo for me. I always give myself a good amount of time before I get any tattoo to really sit and think on it and sit and think about like what it means to me and why I actually want it. I definitely suggest making sure that it's something that you really, really want before you get it. I hope that all of you really enjoyed this. I hope that you were able to take any little pieces that were resonant for you in my stories, and I would love to know what tattoos you have. So please let me know in the comment section down below. Love you so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye.